Thinking back to your start in football, how did you get started playing the game of football, and kind of what do you remember as your earliest memory about the game?
I got started pretty early. I want to say it was around 6 years old. I played flag football for the Crystal Lake Raiders, and from there I'd really just watched my older brother play football, and I kind of grew to love it. And I followed in his footsteps. He started with the Wolves, the junior Wolves, and that's where I kind of fell in love with it, and I played from there as well.
When did you kind of know, hey, I'm pretty good at this game?
It was honestly at a young age. You don't really know how when you're that young. But when I was growing up, my brother was always older than I was, so he had friends that would always come up to me and be like, "Oh, it's Samson. It's the future of Prairie Ridge football." So I think at that age, I kind of had an idea that I was a little better than the rest, and some people could actually notice that and see that.
Was there a little pressure knowing that how heavily involved in athletics your family is to play a sport?
No, there was no pressure, especially for football. I always loved playing football. I grew up a huge Bears fan, and I would collect like cards, snippets out of the magazines. So like I just loved football, and I loved everything to do with Chicago sports. So that's really where I fell in love with football.
What's your all-time number one sports moment that you remember?
My biggest sports moment was my senior year. It was the second round of the playoffs against Cary Grove. We were down with like 19 seconds left at the 60-yard line, and we scored a last-second 60-yard rushing touchdown. That was just one thing I'll never forget the rest of my life.
Out of high school, you decide to go to a Big Ten school, but they decide in high school you were a quarterback though, but they changed you to running back. Looking back at that transition from quarterback to running back, how's it been for you, and what's the adjustment been like?
Yeah, it's been different. At first, I didn't know what to expect, and it was a learning curve. But after a while, especially when I got here, Coach Sewell taught me a lot, and it really elevated my game. It's different from being the one calling the plays, them going to. It's a totally different way you have to read the game. But I've enjoyed it a lot over the years.
How different is it knowing that from a running back's perspective, you got to wait for that hole to happen and rely on your own line and not want to just fly through when it's not ready yet?
Yeah, no, that's the biggest thing that I had to adjust to. From high school, a lot of times I would just fly through holes as hard as I could, as fast as I could. And that's something I'm still adjusting to, is keeping my patience and not trying to just force a hole and trying to let blocks develop. And I think once any back can learn to keep that and deal with that, then they'll be really good.
Playing in the Wildcat formation that you played last year in a lot of situations, how much does that kind of still give you the adrenaline rush of the quarterback position?
Oh, I love it. I'm glad that they put me in that position to be the Wildcat quarterback. I'm hoping we can expand from there, but it's been a lot of fun kind of reliving what I did in high school and being able to do that at the college level. It's been awesome.
How much your offenses changed? I mean, at Iowa, it's very kind of, you know what you're going to get with Big Ten football. Here, Coach Creighton is going to run and gun it a little bit more than a lot of places. How's that offensive style change for you, Ben?
That was probably the biggest thing. Besides the play styles from Iowa to here, they're so much different. Iowa was really hard-nosed, and they're just going to run it down your throat type of offense. And here we like to spread it out and kind of make it 50-50. Along with that, it's been a weird adjustment trying to just all the verbiage from being at Iowa to here. That was probably the toughest thing, because something that might have been a run at Iowa is now a pass play here. So it's just getting the adjustment was different for me.
I know you said you were a Bears fan, but Chicago sports in general, they are very protective of their teams. And did you have a favorite sports hero or person that you were glued to growing up?
Yeah, so when I was growing up, my dad got me this book called Sweetness, which was a biography of Walter Payton. And within that book, there was a video of him, all of his highlights. So every game when I was growing up, my dad would play that in the back seat. We had a little TV in the back seat, and I would just sit there watching it on my way to my game. So I think growing up, I always wanted to kind of be like that. And his quote was "Never die easy," which was basically just never give up on a run, always try to get that extra yard. And I think that's kind of where I got my mentality of always trying to fight for that extra yard, be physical. So yeah, Walter Payton was by far like the most influential person for me as a running back.
You were kind of still, I mean, the Bulls were still pretty good when you were growing up. The Cubs and White Sox have won. I mean, where do those teams rank in your kind of pantheon of sports?
I've always liked baseball. I was always pretty good at baseball. It's probably my second best sport. I remember having like a video game where me and Carter would always play at MLB The Show. It was back when the Sox went to the World Series in '07 and '06. So I would say probably baseball, probably my second favorite, like Chicago sports.
Growing up in Chicago, of course, everybody talks about deep dish. How's Chicago pizza and Detroit style pizza? How are they similar but also different?
In my opinion, you can't really compare. I have pizza here a lot, or when I first got here, but it just wasn't the same. And in my house, we always got pizza every Friday, so like it's a big staple. Like we always get either Lou's or Giorgio's, which is like the top two,
Yeah.
at least around us. And nothing really has compared to those two, so it's hard for me to even compare. But yeah, no, deep dish it's special.
Getting yourself fired up for a game. Is there some music or a certain person in general that you're listening to when you're getting yourself mentally prepared?
For me personally, I don't like to get fired up. I like to get mellowed down. So like I like slow songs, either if that's country, stuff with more emotion. I rather have like be mellowed and have emotions flowing rather than like being hyped up with a bunch of like rap and stuff like that. So there's no one in particular. I like Kings of Leon a lot. But pretty much like anything that's slow, if that's country or Kings of Leon, or that's like my go-to every week.
One of the certainly overarching theme of this year is stack 'em. What I talked about to you the other day, I mean, how have you continued to embrace that mantra of each day stacking one good thing and momentum upon each other?
For me, I haven't really been able to practice as much as I wanted to with injuries here and there. So for me, it's just being able to be at practice and practicing every day. And I think if I can do that, and every one of us in the back room can do that, those days will stack on top of each other and we'll be where we want to go.
When you look at the overall reason that family is a term that is thrown out a lot in sports in general, but having your brother here, being able to go home when it's NIU or whatever, how important is family to you?
It's very important. And I was shocked when Carter first decided to come here because I didn't know he was going to, but he really liked Eastern, and that's kind of what brought me here. And because I trusted him and what he had to say, and so it brought my eyes here. And then he saw how much I liked it. So I think we really trust one another, and we know like what's best for one another. And I would do anything for Carter. I love when he makes a play on defense. I love to see that. It fires me up, and I know he likes the same when I make a play on offense.
How has the transfer portal changed things for athletes to help put power back in kind of your hands now?
I think it's helped a lot. You see all the time that coaches can leave and come, and that's always a big thing when you're getting recruited is like go to a place where the coaches are going to stay and not leave. And if a coach can leave, I think a player has the right and the ability to leave as well. So it's helped me out a lot, and I'm sure there's countless people that it's helped out also. I know many friends that have had to leave places and go other places. And I think it's just like a refresh for them, especially in like college football is like, it's very tough mentally and physically. So having that refresh can be really good.
As a guy who didn't know a ton about Eastern when you first got the call and all that, what's your favorite part about being here now?
The coaches and the players. I have a lot of good friends on this team, a lot of bonds. The coaches are super easy to talk to. They're super friendly, and no matter when I'm having a bad day, they always bring me up, and they're always engaging in conversations and stuff like that.
What's your favorite thing to do away from football?
I'm a big movie watcher and TV watcher, so I love watching TV series and like the new movies that come out.
What's your favorite series right now?
Oh, that's a tough question. I just watched Reacher, which was pretty good. It's like when you see a series, it comes like your new favorite one. So like it's hard to say. My all-time would probably be like Prison Break.
Okay.
But yeah, that's tough.
Is you got a streaming service that you favor over the other?
Not necessarily. Whatever, like, because a lot of these services that are just having new shows on each, so.
I had to buy HBO Max yesterday because I wanted to watch Hard
yeah.
Knocks. Have you watched Hard Knocks with the Lions yet this year?
I haven't yet. I have not.
They got to get the Bears back on there one
I
of these
know.
days,
If they had the Bears on there, I would definitely be watching every episode.